Welcome back, my lovely friends. If you're new here, my name is Tonya, and in today's video, we're going to be picking my March TBR. TBR videos are always one of my favorite ones to film. You know, you got the excitement of picking a prompt to figure out what you're going to be reading for the month, and I know I always really enjoy doing that. That way there's a little bit of surprise, a little bit of mystery, and for the most part, I'm pretty good about sticking to my TBR and getting through it, but I do deviate sometimes, which is perfectly okay, but picking my TBR at least gives me some sort of game plan for the month. So, if you're new here and haven't seen one of my TBR videos before, I have a little container here that I keep my TBR prompts in, and I'm going to be picking 5 prompts out of my TBR jar here. And then once I pick these 5 prompts, I pick one additional book off of my 26 books I wanted to read in 2026 TBR, and I do that one through a spinner wheel. That way I'm only getting those books that are actually on my list for the year. And then I do also do some audiobooks. I don't pick prompts for those. With the audiobooks, I just listen to whatever I'm in the mood for at the moment, but I will tell you the audiobooks I did listen to during my monthly wrap-up each month. And as far as where I'll be picking books from, I do have my TBR cart here that's pretty well stocked at the moment. And then I also, where off to the side where you can't see them, I have some additional books that haven't made it on the cart yet that I picked up recently, plus a couple that a publisher sent to me. So I do have those over here off to the side in case, you know, a prompt comes up that would fit one of those. And then I also have books on my Kindle and some ARCs on NetGalley that I pick from as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and pick our first prompt. All right, let's see what we end up with here. So for our first prompt, it's an author with the same last initial as me. And my last name is Spencer, so we're going to pick an author whose last name also starts with S. So let's see what our options are here. I don't know if I have any actually on my TBR cart, but we'll take a quick look first. I think, nope, that's a T. It would have worked for my first initial. Let's see. Wild River. So it doesn't look like I have any on my actual physical TBR cart where the author's last initial starts with an S. But on my Kindle, I do have The Well of Ascension, which is the second book in the Mistborn saga, and the author on that one is Brandon Sanderson. I just recently read the first book in the series, so this is a good excuse for me to continue on. So that's what we're going to go with, The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. All right, now let's move on to prompt 2, and let's see what we got here. So for the second prompt, it is continue a series, which is always a good thing when I can continue a series, because I'm pretty sure I'm in the middle of 20 plus series at the moment. So I definitely, want to be moving forward with some of those series and finishing some off. So let's see what we got here. All right, all of the ones in the top shelf won't be continuing a series for me. All of the ones in the second shelf won't be continuing a series for me. Now down here, Legendary by Stephanie Garber is the second book in the Caraval series. So that would be continuing a series. The Queen of Nothing would also be continuing a series. But I think, give me 1 second here. So I had to stand up for this one. I'd already put it on the shelf. The one I'm going to go with is The Strength of the Few by James Islington. I read The Will of the Many in February, loved it. It was a 5-star read. And then I knew I was going to want to pick up the second book as soon as possible. So this is a great excuse to do that. Now, I believe there's going to be 4 books in this series. So I imagine there's going to be a little bit of a wait before the third one comes out. I'm not really sure when its planned release is, but like I said, I really did want to pick this one up as soon as possible, so this is a good excuse to do that. So for our second prompt, we're going to go with The Strength of the Few. Now, that being said, in the first two prompts, the two books that I've chosen, I believe are both 600 pages or more. So sometimes I can get in a little bit of trouble picking only chunky books. So maybe we'll get some shorter ones on there with the next few prompts. All right, now let's pick the third prompt. Pretty sure I got two here. There. I don't know how I ended up picking three pink ones to start with, but that is what happened. All right, so this one, it says, pick a NetGalley arc. So let me see what I have available on NetGalley. All right, so just looking through the different arcs I have, some of them are a little further out. So I think what I'm going to pick for this one is The Last Contract of Asako by Fonda Lee, and this will be my first book by Fonda Lee. I know that this author wrote the Jade City saga, which I've only heard great things about, but I haven't read that particular series yet. This is a new book for this author that's coming out, I believe, in May. And if you're not familiar with it, here's a little bit of the blurb. Asako is a legendary swordswoman, but every legend must come to an end. When her longtime client unexpectedly retires, she plans to follow, to walk out into the frozen wasteland of their planet with her head held high and her family enriched by her death. But when she's offered a final mission, she can't refuse, especially when she realizes who lies at the center of it all. Martum, her last and worst apprentice, who's somehow made his way to the top. As she's thrust into a world of corporate espionage and shadowy secrets, what she uncovers could forever change humanity's existence among the stars. So it sounds really good. It's a dystopian book, and Dystopian is coming back and having a moment for itself again. I did just finish listening to Cage a Wild Bird, also a dystopian book. Really enjoyed that. So won't mind at all picking up another dystopian book. All right. And now on to prompt number 4. And once again, a pink one. I did have quite a few pink ones in here this time, so I will give you that. Okay, so this one says Asian inspired. And let's see kind of what we have for choices. So the only one I know for sure that is Asian inspired is The Book of Fallen Leaves by A.S. Tamaki. And this is a debut work. This book comes out on March 17th. Orbit was kind enough to send this to me so that I could review it. So definitely would like to get to this one, the beginning of March. So glad I had a reason to put it on my TBR. And if you have not heard of this book yet, here's what the back says. Shogun meets Game of Thrones in a sweeping tale of vengeance, divine reckoning, and empire-shaking war. So sounds great, and I know from the description inside, it sounds like there's a little bit of a subplot of romance, and there is also, it seems like there's going to be a lot of political intrigue, which I always enjoy in a book. And then just a little bit more on the blurb. Sen Hoshikari is an exiled prince of a clan that lost everything in his father's failed rebellion. Deprived of his birthright, Sen is determined to restore his family's land and honor. Rui is a peasant girl who saved Sen's life on the night his family were put to the sword. She is adrift and unsure of her place in the world, not knowing that the gods themselves have plans for her. As civil war throws the empire into chaos and demons seek vengeance on the living, Sen and Rui must fight for both their clan and their shared future. But vengeance demands a bloody price. So, sounds really good. I don't know about you, but I always love me a good exiled prince or princess story. And like I said, it sounds like there's a lot of political intrigue, as our male main character is trying to take back his family's land. So yeah, I think it sounds really good. I think I'll read this one in a vlog for you guys so we can kind of read it together, and definitely looking forward to picking this one up. All right, so now let's pick our fifth and final prompt. All right, so let's see what we got here. A book about plants or poison. I just finished reading Hemlock and Silver last month, which would have been perfect for this. But let's see if I have anything else. Season part, I don't know that I do have any books that go along with that. Maybe with the Foxglove King. I mean, Foxglove is poisonous. All right, so it does look like this has poison in it. I'll read you a little bit of the blurb because it definitely talks about poison in there. In this gilded gothic and romantic new epic fantasy series from New York Times bestselling author Hannah Whitten, a young woman's secret power to raise the dead plunges her into the dangerous world of the Sainted King's royal court. Lore had been living by her wits' end since she was a child, running poisons for the cartel that took her in, avoiding the attention of the law and keeping her affinity for death magic a secret, because mortem is a rare and illicit commodity, and using it could mean death. When a job goes wrong and Lore is captured by the Sainted King's warrior monks, she expects a peer. But King August has different plans. Entire villages on the outskirts of the country have been dying overnight, seemingly at random. Lore can either use her magic to find out what's happening or die, and the king suspects his arrogant and handsome heir is behind it. Thrust into a lavish court where no one can be believed and fewer can be trusted, Lore must navigate an intricate web of politics, religion, and forbidden romance, and solve the king's mystery. A mystery more dangerous and twisted than Lore can even imagine. So, that sounds really good. I've actually had this on my TBR for a while. I just kind of picked it up at random because I thought the front cover was cool. And it's just been sitting there. And then I ended up buying the second book in the series, and it has also been sitting there because I haven't read this one yet, so this is a good excuse for me to pick it up. So that was our 5 regular TBR prompts. So now we're going to use my spinner wheel to pick out one of my 26 books for 2026. Now, if it happens that we get one of the books that I've already picked today, then we of course will need to spin again. Plus, I do have a couple new releases on the spinner wheel as well. So if we get a release that hasn't come out yet, then we also will have to, once again spin the wheel. All right, so we're going to go ahead and give it a spin. So the spinner landed on Leviathan, and I'm actually super excited about this one because it's by Philip Quintrell, and it is a novella follow-up from the Echo Saga, which, if you've been here a while, you know that I absolutely love the Echo Saga. If you're new here, then now you know that I absolutely love the Echo Saga. It's an epic fantasy series, and it is a longer one, but it is a complete series. There's 9 books in the series. The first 3 kind of act as a prequel for the last 6. The first 3 are the world building, giving you the background, meeting some of the characters. And then the last 6 take place, I think it's like 30 to 50 years, somewhere in that range in the future. And then we follow some of the last characters that we met in the first 3, but then some additional characters as well. And like I said, I absolutely love this series. And this novella has my absolute favorite character in it, which is a ranger named Asher. So I'm really excited to be able to dip my toes back into the Echo Saga kind of universe and see what Asher has been up to since the series completed. And with that completes our TBR for March. So now let's just do a little recap. For the prompt that was pick a NetGalley arc, we're doing The Last Contract by Fonda Lee. For a book about plants or poison, we are doing The Foxglove King by Hannah Whitten. For an Asian-inspired book, we're doing The Book of Fallen Leaves by A.S. Tamaki. For the prompt of an author who has the same last initial as me, which is S, we are doing The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. For continuing a series, we're doing The Strength of the Few by James Islington. And the book that the spinner wheel picked off my 26 books for 2026 is Leviathan by Philip Quintrell. So that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me while we picked these books together. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts were on them, or just let me know what your TBR is for March, or the book you're looking forward to reading the most in March. And if you want to let me know that you were here, but don't really, have a comment that you want to leave a flower emoji down below, because if you're anything like me, you are ready for spring. So maybe with a bunch of flower emojis, we can push spring to get here a little bit sooner. So thanks again for being here. If you're not already subscribed, I hope you'll do so and become part of my community here on YouTube. I love hanging out with you guys and making videos and chatting in the comments. So definitely, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that button down below. Take care, keep reading, and I'll catch you in my next video. Bye.